Ladies and gentlemen, whenever you hear a story about the Durham probe or a very interesting report now that Rand Paul has already sent a criminal referral to the Department of Justice saying this top expert lied about a certain type of research, whenever you hear a story that is detrimental to the Democratic Party or that points to legal repercussions for people either loyal to that political side or a person like Dr. Fauci who was championed and lionized as a foil to the Orange Menace. Whenever you hear this type of story, remember that 2022 is around the corner. When House Republicans take over, okay, so you have Trump Republicans. The Never-Trumpers will be primaried out of politics, most of them. You might have some that manage to keep their congressional seats. But you're going to have people like Devin Nunes and Jim Jordan, Ron DeSantis, people like Richard Grenell, John Radcliffe. I mean, not all of the people I mentioned are going to be in Congress. I'm just saying you'll have this type of Republican. Devin Nunes and Kevin McCarthy and others. You won't have the Mitt Romneys running the Republican Party or the Adam Kinzinger or the Cheneys. This criminal referral will be addressed in greater detail, or will be there will probably be more than just one senator. So you have only two senators, Ron Johnson and Rand Paul, really going after people who have flip-flopped in their testimony or in their analysis or evaluation of a global health catastrophe, or advice on what we should do to stay safe. The real issue is when you have a senator accusing you of perjury. You're not out of the woods simply because of the Department of Justice and the president in the Oval Office and almost all of media will go to bat for you. You still have to contend with Trump Republicans in a year and a half, less than a year and a half. That's something that you should remember, okay? Because you can't just look at this and say, well, nothing's going to happen. With the special counsel ongoing right now, it is a special counsel. The Durham probe is a special counsel. People say nothing's going to ever happen. With this criminal referral to the Department of Justice, I know that people are going to say, well, nothing's going to ever happen. There's always a double standard. They get away with everything. They keep on lying. There are no repercussions. You have Hunter with his emails and stock trades with, from Richard Burr and Dianne Feinstein right after a classified briefing, so they could sell stocks and make millions right before the market downturn, and nothing happens to them. And you have an email from the president's son saying, how can you use your influence on behalf of the company? That's pretty much what the email reads verbatim. And you have all of these, there's a double standard, nothing's ever going to happen. It's like, well, you don't really have a Republican Party backing you. You have only one senator right now, two, Ron Johnson also. But hit subscribe to this channel. Hit subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. The link is below in the pinned comment. If you ever hear my voice on any other YouTube channel, report that YouTube channel to YouTube, because I have never let anyone else use any part of my video or my voice. So that's important if you could do that for me. But ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe. I will have a live stream by around 6:37 p.m. this evening. We had a fantastic live stream yesterday. It was awesome. But I'm going to give you the main issue pertaining to the criminal referral that Rand Paul has sent. It really doesn't matter if Dr. Fauci is telling the truth or not, from a legal perspective. So he very likely could get away with what anyone else would face in terms of perjury. The reason is that like Josh Rogan of the Washington Post explained, who, by the way, defended Rand Paul. Okay, when you have a Washington Post and CNN journalist or contributor defending Rand Paul and saying he's absolutely right, America under President Obama initially, because it was like 2014 or so when the funding was given, funded a facility in a country that doesn't have any transparency pertaining to investigative journalism or, there's zero government transparency within the most populous country in the world. Ultimately, it's a communist country, even though they embrace capitalism as well. By the way, I don't have any animosity at all for the most populous country in the world. Because of the algorithm, I'm just simply not going to, obviously, name the country. I don't have any animosity at all. If we're so weak, if we are so pathetic as a country that we can't stand up in the manner that Trump did, in the manner that Rand Paul and Ron Johnson are doing, if we can't go ahead and stand up in the form of tariffs, I mean, you had President Trump who engaged in tariffs that President Biden has continued, but initially people said, oh my God, it's such a horrible thing. It's like, well, no, the economy was good at that point. And that was the opportunity to implement a short-term economic tactic that works to pressure other countries to go to the negotiating table. You had unions, you had the AFL-CIO, you had steel unions, you had workers throughout the world, in Europe and in the United States, saying, hey, you know what, impose these tariffs. What Trump did was very good, to impose tariffs initially. Then to bring up the fact that it could have originated through an accident or deliberately, that's something that we always should have looked into. The reason that media and Democrats didn't want to look into that is because it would have absolved Trump of the irrational blame they gave him. It wasn't Trump's fault. It was a vapid argument to begin with to say, well, it happened under his watch. Well, it happened under Cuomo's watch. It happened under Fauci's watch also. It happened under Pelosi and Schumer and Gillibrand and de Blasio and AOC. New York was the epicenter of all the suffering in the entire planet. God bless the people of New York and New Jersey. Democrats presided over the worst outcomes. Go to the New York Times statistics, the highest per capita rates and the greatest number of lives lost. You can't just talk about population because they had the highest per capita rates as well. New York and New Jersey consistently from day one have the highest per capita rates, and Andrew Cuomo in March 1st stated, well, the risk remains low. Then you have Fauci backtracking and flip-flopping on a whole bunch of things. But the issue is that Trump, Rand Paul, and others were right to be suspicious. Democrats reside in this realm of plausible deniability that they don't grant to Trump or their political rivals. They demand absolute categorical proof for any claim leveled against them or any claim that would hurt them politically. And last year, had we simply found out how this all started or not suppressed discussion, it would have helped President Trump immensely, politically. And it would have hurt Democrats politically because they wouldn't have been able to blame Trump. And what he was saying, which was essentially, hey, this was a quote-unquote gift from another land, Democrats tried to paint, oh, well, you know, you're unfairly blaming an entire group of people. He never did that. He was saying correctly that it very likely came by accident or inadvertently or possibly even deliberately. It wasn't his fault. We now have to find out how this started. the fact that Falsey said money wasn't used to fund this is irrelevant because the money could have been used without his knowledge because there's no transparency in the country we're talking about. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you so very, very much.